Well, hi everyone, welcome to the channel. It's spooky season, so we thought we might play a game of Devilry Afoot, the new folk horror monster hunting rule set by prolific game designer Nick Wright. And this is intended to be the start of a small campaign leading up to Halloween. We'll just have to see how it all goes. So this is the first scenario in the book. This is a discovery of witches, in which I guess there's a hamlet, and on the edge of this hamlet, the witches have kind of gathered. They're doing some sort of a ritual, and ominous storm clouds are brewing, or maybe some celestial event. Anyway, our heroic monster hunters are on the scene, and they have been tasked with busting up this party. Their objective is going to be to try to make sure that none of the witches escape the area alive. If some of them do, then the scenario is a failure, though the hunters will still get a bounty for any witch they slay. And the length of the game is supposed to be more or less 5 turns. We're going to roll a d10 at the beginning of the 5th turn, and look at the number, and then at the beginning of the 6th turn we'll roll it again, and as soon as those numbers add up to 10 cumulatively, then the game is over. So it might technically be the 5th turn, might be the 6th turn, might be the 7th turn, but the point is at the end of that, once we hit a total of 10 from rolling those d10s, then the celestial event or the great storm is going to be over, and any witches we haven't dispatched will be free to run off into the forest and continue on with their witchy business. So I went over some of the basics of Devilry Afoot in our previous video, so you can kind of check that out to kind of get a sense of what's going on. And we will try to cover some of the basic mechanics in this game as they occur, but take it all with a grain of salt. We've read the book, we've played a couple of practice games, I've asked a few questions of Nick, the author, but you know, we're fallible, so we're going to forget things, we're going to make some mistakes. But hopefully this will give you some sense of how the game is played, and fingers crossed we don't screw it up too badly. So here's a quick rundown of our valiant monster hunters who will be appearing in today's game. From the left there is Brother Thaddeus, who has a sword, a buckler, and a holy item. Then next to him is Soldier Otto Bach, who's got a pistol and a torch. And to his right is Gentleman Conrad von Kleist with a sword and a pistol, and Conrad's loyal follower Sven, who has a bow. And they'll be facing off against a coven of witches. That's coven as in oven, not coven as in cloven. At least that's what I've been told. On the left there is the wicked Circe Moonfall, and to her right is Crooked Henry, and on the end, on the right there, is Frau Holda. So they're apparently up to no good here in the woods, so the witch hunters are going to see if they can set things right. We're going to load up the Bag of Fate with these tokens. So there's 2 to represent the witches and 3 to represent the witch hunters. And if any innocents are found in this hovel during the game, then we'll add an additional token for the innocents. And we want to make sure that no innocents die, because we get less experience if the innocents are killed during this adventure.
That would be unfortunate.
Very unfortunate, especially for the innocents. The witch hunters still get paid, which is good, but they wouldn't get as much experience.
And they need all the experience they can get for the campaign, because they're pretty low on the totem pole right now.
Yeah, they're little baby neophyte monster hunters, just starting out. As far as terrain goes, we have a hovel here, which might have some innocents inside it. We got some rough terrain, the haystack, the trees, the well, the big hedge over here are all terrain, and if the monsters get into that, if they get adjacent to it, they'll be in shadow, which gives them some advantages. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. The play area is 2 by 2, so we're going to kind of tighten up on the long edges a little bit, but it should go pretty quick. Oh yeah, and did I mention this is a co-op game? So we're going to be playing this together, Lynn and I, and the witches will be controlled by a game chart. And so whenever we draw one of their tokens, we will look at some conditions, roll a die, and that will determine what the witches are going to do. We'll jump straight into gameplay, but before we do, if you'd like to throw a couple of shillings in the old mason jar to help us cover costs, you can do that with the Super Thanks button right here on this video, or by becoming a channel member, where for as little as $3 a month, you can get access to bonus videos and other perks. We don't chase the algorithm around here, so we're basically just wargaming for tips. Any contribution, no matter how small, is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Now on with the show. All right, so the game starts on turn 1. We're going to load up the Bag of Fate. See, it says right there, Bag of Fate. And see which faction activates first. And it looks like it's going to be the Monster Hunters. So Lynn, would you like to pick a Monster Hunter?
I'm going to pick Conrad because Sven activates with him, so that way I can activate 2.
Right. So the gentleman, Conrad von Kleist, is right here. His follower, Sven, is right here. If Conrad activates, then Sven gets to activate with him. But they'll each have to roll to see how many actions they get. So would you like to roll for Conrad and see how many actions he might get?
Well, first we need to talk about the fact that he is rather flawed.
Oh yeah, Conrad does have a terrible secret. He's a flagellant. So when he rolls his first 2 activation rolls, if he gets a 1 on either one of them, he will have 1 wound that he's bringing to the party. So he will have flagellated himself and have a wound. So we hope that doesn't happen. So Conrad has a resolve of 4, so he's going to roll 2 dice. Anything 4 or higher is going to be a success. If he gets 2 successes, he gets 2 actions. If he gets 1 success, he gets 1 action. If he gets 2 10s, he gets 3 actions. But he could conceivably get no actions. So let's see what happens. So that's an 8 and a 4, 2 successes, so Conrad gets 2 actions.
And what I forgot is he is within 4 inches of Otto, who is carrying the torch, so he would actually succeed with a 3+.
Yeah, Otto's got a torch, so since Conrad is close to that torch within 4 inches, he would get a +1 on his activation roll. Regardless, he has 2 actions, so what's he going to do?
He can't shoot outside of 6 inches, so he's going to move up and see if he can get close. He's got 4-inch movement.
So he's going to move toward the center of the little glen here next to the small farm and try to get closer to the witches. His pistol has a range of 6. So he can move and shoot, but there is a penalty for doing so. Now I want to talk about facing here a little bit. The rules say that facing should be drawn along the shoulders, but because a lot of our guys are kind of standing sideways in a heroic pose, we're going to fudge that a little bit and say they're kind of facing the way their weapon is pointed, but we'll just kind of have to play that by ear because it looks a little funny to have him facing that way and then shooting this way. So anyway, Conrad is shooting over here at this witch.
And he will succeed on a 6+, because the witch has a defense of 6.
That is the legendary Circe Moonfall, known sorceress.
So he got a 6. Now
Okay.
he rolls on the wound chart. And you want to roll high. 5. 5 is 1 wound.
So Conrad shot, he hit, he scored 1 wound on Circe Moonfall, who has 3 wounds total. So she's taken 1 hit.
So in order to use that weapon again, he's going to need to reload. So we'll put a reload token there to remind us.
Yeah, so he's fired his pistol. He'll need to reload on a future activation. Next, Conrad's loyal follower Sven is going to activate. He activates with Conrad.
And he is out of the 4-inch range for the light, so his resolve is 5+.
Okay. A 1 and an 8, he gets 1 action. So Sven is shooting with a bow, which is kind of nice because it doesn't have to reload, though it doesn't do quite as much damage as the pistol. So he's shooting over here at Circe Moonfall, and her defense is 6+.
And it's got a lot more range, because the range on that one is 24 inches.
It does have a lot more range.
So 6+. 1.
1, he misses.
He was a little flustered. This is his first battle after all.
That's right. He is a neophyte monster hunter. So Conrad and Sven activated. Now the way this is going to work is every time we draw a hunter token, we get to activate 1 character. In the case of Conrad, he got to activate and his follower got to activate. And then the next time we draw a hunter token, we'll have to pick a different hunter. But each hunter will only get to activate once. With the witches, every time we draw a witch token, they all get to activate and get 1 action, depending on what we roll on the chart. So, let's see who activates next.
Hunters.
The witches! We'll start with this one here so we don't get confused.
Okay.
This guy is Crooked Henry. Crooked Henry.
He's within 6 inches.
He's within 6 inches of Conrad, so that's going to affect the chart. So, go to the 6 inches away column. And we roll, and we got a 6, which is?
Charm.
So Crooked Henry right here is going to attempt to charm Conrad right here. If that is successful, Conrad will kind of go into a stupor. And he'll still be able to do things, but at a penalty. So he doesn't want to be charmed. To try to resist the charm, Conrad is going to make a resolve roll at a -4.
2. So
2.
He is charmed.
So he gets a charm token, so he has been bedazzled, and he's not as effective as he normally would be. Though one of his compadres could run up and slap him at some point to snap him out of it, or he can slap himself with an action on his next activation. So that's 1 witch, Crooked Henry. Then over here we have Frau Helga. She's not within 6 inches of any hunter, and she hasn't been shot at. And she gets an 8.
8 is charm.
Charm. She's got to charm the next closest hunter, which I suppose would be probably Otto, don't you think? So Otto's going to try to resist being charmed. He needs to make a resolve roll at a -4.
So 8 plus 6.
6. He does not do it.
He is also charmed.
He's also charmed. It's kind of like he's in a dream sequence from a bad vampire movie from the 70s, so he's a little bit woozy. So Circe Moonfall is going to activate. That's the final witch. She's within 6 inches of a hunter, so we use that chart. 1.
Is hide.
Hide. So she transforms into a wolf and runs 6 inches, which kind of takes her over by this tree. So she's over by this tree now in wolf form in the shadows. Had she not reached the shadows in the 6-inch movement, she would have made another move, a 4-inch move, to try to get to shadows. So Circe has run away in wolf form, and she's currently hiding in the shadows by that scary tree.
Back to the bag of fate.
Back to the bag of fate. It's the hunters. So we pick another hunter, and they activate and do their thing.
Brother Thaddeus is going to activate and try to protect the innocents in the house if there are any.
So he's going to move over and sort of block the entrance to the courtyard because the monsters will try to get into that house.
And he has a resolve of 3 plus. So he gets 2 actions.
2 actions for Brother Thaddeus. So his normal movement is 4, but he can do 2 movements if he wants to. So where do you want him? Right about there?
Yeah, block in the middle of that.
Blocking that, so that's about 6.5. So Brother Thaddeus is bravely facing off against any witch incursion to try to keep them out of the hovel. Because if innocents are killed, we don't get as much experience. All right, the next faction to activate is the Hunters, once again. The only hunter left is Otto Bach, who is currently bedazzled. He's charmed, so he needs to activate and then try to snap out of it.
So his resolve is 4. Normally it would be 3 because of the torch, but because he's charmed, it's 5.
So he needs to roll 5+ on his activation rolls. 1 and a 9, so he gets 1 action. Is he going to slap himself?
He's going to slap himself.
So Otto gives himself a good smack, and he's no longer charmed, but that's all he gets to do. And the final activation token of the turn is the witches again. So Crooked Henry is right here, and Brother Thaddeus is right here. So Crooked Henry is well within 6. So go ahead and roll. 2.
2 is flee.
Flee! Crooked Henry decides to run for the hills. So he would run away from Brother Thaddeus, which would put him in wolf form over here in the rough. So he would end up kind of over here. So Crooked Henry is in wolf form in the rough, so he's kind of in the shadows there. We have 2 more witches. This is Circe in wolf form.
4 is hide.
So she's going to stay in the shadows right there.
And last but not least,
Frau Helga, 2. She's within 6 inches of Brother Thaddeus, so 2 means flee. So she too turns into a wolf and runs away. That means we're not going to have to confront them.
I wanted 1 to stay there because it's much easier to take out 1 at a time.
Right. So all the witches have turned into wolves and run into the shadows. That's interesting. So that is the end of turn 1. We go into turn 2, collect our activation tokens, put them back in the bag, and get ready for turn 2. So the monster hunters have inflicted 1 wound on the witches, and the only person who's got any problems right now is Conrad von Kleist, who needs to reload and is charmed. So maybe Sven can come up and give him a good slap with a metal gauntlet to wake him up. But Conrad might like that.
We don't know. That's why it wakes him up.
All right. The first draw of turn 2 is the Monster Hunters.
So Otto is going to try to activate first.
Okay. Otto Bach, the soldier. That's a 9 and a 3, so 2 actions because Otto gets a buff from that torch when rolling for activations.
So Otto is going to move up so both Conrad and Thaddeus get the benefit of the torch when they're rolling their resolve roll.
Okay.
So he's within 4, he's within 4.
Okay. So that'll help them both when it comes to rolling for resolve. Yeah, the scenarios in this game take place in the dead of night, so there's not much visibility other than moonlight, and there's lots of shadows. So the fact that Conrad has a torch is very helpful, and that's going to help both of these guys out with their activation rolls. So they're both going to get a bonus of +1 when they try to activate. Okay. The hunters activate again. One of them anyway. All right, so Conrad and Sven are attempting to activate. So Conrad normally has a resolve of 4. He's down 2 because of being charmed, but he will get a bonus because of the torch. So he's now at 5.
4 and a 9.
So Conrad gets 1 action.
He's going to slap himself.
He's going to slap himself. Snap out of it, man. And Sven then gets to roll for his activations.
Sven isn't close enough to the torch, so he's just at his normal, which is 5+.
5+ for Sven.
And he's still a little nervous about his first hunt.
Yeah, he's getting 0 action, so Sven is just standing there.
Shaking in his boots.
Oh, Sven, if you want to earn your copper penny this month, you better activate.
Okay, so that's that activation.
The hunters get to go again.
This is unfortunate. I was hoping the witches would activate somewhere in there.
So, I guess that's Brother Thaddeus right here.
That is Brother Thaddeus.
So Thaddeus normally has a resolve of 3+ because he's a religious type, but he's also benefiting from the light of Otto's torch, so he only needs to roll a 2+ to activate. 2 actions for Thaddeus.
Brother Thaddeus is going to move up, but he doesn't want to get too far away from the house.
Okay. So is he just moving up 4?
He's moving up 4, and he's going to stay within range of the
torch.
Yes.
Right. So Thaddeus is in range of the torch.
And turning the direction of all the wolves.
Okay. Facing is important, so he's going to pivot toward the wolves. So Thaddeus still has 1 action. He doesn't want to quote scripture and drive the wolves further away, so he's just going to stand there, right?
He's just going to stand there.
Thaddeus had considered charging the wolf, but it's pretty strong in wolf form, and he didn't want to chance it. So he's playing it safe and staying within the torchlight.
Especially when the wolf is in the shadow, because they get extra bonuses for being in the shadow.
Right. Monsters in the shadow are dangerous. So there's 2 tokens left in the bag, and they're both going to be for the witches, so there's the first one. Lynn remembers which wolf is which is good. So this is Crooked Henry right here. He's within 6 inches of Brother Thaddeus. So go ahead and roll and see what he does.
1.
1.
He's going to hide.
He stays where he is. He likes it there. This wolf here is Frau Helga. She gets a 2.
That is hide as well.
And she's just going to hide. They're going to wait out the storm. And this wolf over here is Circe. 10.
Stalk.
Stalk. She's going to stalk. She turns back into human form, witch form, and decides to stalk Thaddeus. So there's Circe right there, and Thaddeus right there, and now we move to the next token draw, which is going to be the witches. The witches, as promised. So Circe's right here. She's within 6 inches of Thaddeus. She gets a 10, which is attack. So she moves up. So Circe moves up. She doesn't have a pole arm or a missile weapon, so she's going to have to get within base to base at some point to attack Thaddeus. But she is moving up. So Crooked Henry is also within 6 inches. He gets a 5.
Charm.
So he converts back into Crooked Henry. So Crooked Henry is going to attempt to charm Brother Thaddeus, even as Circe is moving in. So the witches are ganging up on him. So Brother Thaddeus needs to make a resolve roll at -4 to avoid being charmed.
So 7+.
7+.
8.
He got an 8. He avoids it. He resists being charmed. Lucky for him.
It's that zeal.
That righteous zeal. And finally we have Frau Helga right here. She's not within 6 inches of anybody. And she gets a 5.
Summon imp.
She's going to try to summon an imp. So she converts back into witch form. And she needs to roll a 7+.
A 9.
A 9. What she gets
So she summons a little imp.
from the netherworld.
And that is the end of round 2.
That's the end of turn 2. We head into turn 3. So the witches have shaken off their initial surprise at the arrival of the monster hunters, and now they're sort of mixing it up. They're getting feisty. So what do you want, a witch or a monster hunter?
Hunter.
You get a witch.
Oh.
That's what you get. So I guess we can start right here with Circe.
Okay.
Got a 1.
Hide.
So that's a 1. So that's hide. Circe is already in shadow, so she's just going to convert into wolf form and hide in the shadow of that tree and perhaps snarl at Brother Thaddeus. So then we have Crooked Henry right here. He's within 6 inches of Thaddeus. Gets a 4.
Charm.
Charm. He's going to attempt to charm Thaddeus. So I guess you roll resolve at a -4.
So 7 plus 7.
7. He resists the charm once again. Good on you, Thaddeus. Then we have Circe over here. 5.
Summon imp.
Summon another imp. She does not. And then finally the imp. So the imp is going to move 1d10 toward the nearest human, which happens to be Brother Thaddeus. He's getting all the attention, so it moves 5, giggling as it goes. So Brother Thaddeus is very popular with the witches. I guess they want to tempt him. So far he has resisted their charms, which is good. Okay, here's the next activation.
Okay. Hunters. I think we're going to activate Otto.
So Otto's right here. He needs to roll for his resolve. See how many actions he gets.
So 3 plus. A 10 and a 9.
If you get 2 10s, you get 3 actions because it's Providence, but he gets 2, so 2 actions for Otto.
We'll take what we can get. So first Otto is going to attempt to shoot the imp because it's within 6.
Okay, so Otto right here. He's shooting the imp right here. So Otto gets a +1 for shooting because he's a soldier. He gets another +1 because he's within 4 inches. He gets another +1 because of his pistol. The monster is not in shadow. So what's the imp's defense?
Imp's defense is 5 plus, so 2 plus.
2 plus for Otto to hit that imp.
And he misses. Otto, I am so disappointed in you.
Well, so he gets 1 more action. Remember, he can only move 3 on his first movement of any activation because he is slovenly.
He wants to be within 4 of that one to keep him in light. So he's going to kind of move right here, facing the witches.
There's a lot of activity around the scary tree right here. All right, let's see who's next. It's the witches. Erg.
Well, let's see what we got.
Okay, we can start with this one right here. Is that Circe? That's Circe.
That is Circe.
So Circe is within 6 inches. She gets a 5.
Charm.
She converts back into human form and uses her charms on Brother Thaddeus.
Okay, so 7 plus.
9. Wow, he's very resistant to her charms. So Crooked Henry, he's within 6 inches of some hunters. 10, so that's an attack. So he's almost up to Brother Thaddeus, but not quite. But he is in the shadows of the scary tree, which will give him a bonus, I think.
Except that the light negates that.
This is very true.
Since Otto couldn't do anything else, at least he brought the torch.
Yep. And finally, we have Frau Helga. Gets a 4.
Summon imp.
She's standing back by the hedge and summoning an imp. 1,
No.
but she doesn't do it. She's got 1 imp on the table, though.
And now the imp gets to move 1d10.
So the imp moves 4, which should be enough. So the imp can move through Crooked Henry, but there needs to be room on the other side for the base, and there isn't. So instead, the imp is going to go over here to Otto.
Okay.
And say hello. The imp has an attack of 8 plus. 5 doesn't hit.
And Otto gets to attack back.
Otto gets an opportunity attack back. So he doesn't have a loaded pistol, but he can use it as a club. So he gets a +1 on his attack for being a soldier, -1 because he's using an improvised club. And the imp has an armor of what?
5 plus. 7.
7, he hits. Rolls on the wound chart. Gets a 2, which is unfortunately nothing. Now we draw again. It's going to be all hunters from here on out. And there's a big party by the scary tree. Who still needs to activate? Thaddeus and Conrad, right?
Conrad and Sven.
So, Hunter. So Conrad is going to attempt to activate along with Sven.
So Conrad rolls with a 3 plus because of Otto's light.
2 actions for Conrad von Kleist. With one of them, he can reload if he wants to.
He's going to reload and shoot.
And who's he shooting at? Crooked Henry?
Crooked Henry.
So Conrad right here is shooting Crooked Henry right here. Crooked Henry is adjacent to this tree, which would put him in shadow normally, except Otto has a torch. So you get a bonus for shooting him rather than a negative for him being in shadow. So Conrad gets a +1 for the pistol. He gets a +1 for the illumination of the torch on the target. And Crooked Henry has a defense of 6+ normally, so you need a 4+.
Okay, come on, Conrad. You can do it. 7.
He hits Crooked Henry. Roll on the wound chart.
9.
It's two hits on Crooked Henry. So he's down to 1.
Okay.
And Conrad needs to reload because he has discharged his pistol.
Look at Sven for me and see if Conrad's in his way for Crooked Henry.
So if you have a guy here who wants to shoot over here and there's someone kind of in the way, you sort of draw a line from head to head. And if it crosses somebody's base, you can't shoot. So Sven cannot shoot unless he moves. Also, we got to remember, if somebody shoots and misses, and there's other creatures within 2 inches of the target, they might hit one of those other creatures. So if Sven were to move and then shoot Crooked Henry there and then miss, he might hit any one of these people. But first we need to roll some activation dice for Sven.
So 5+. No, he's just going to stand there and shiver.
And shiver in the rain. I guess Sven is more loyal than competent. And the final token is the hunters, so that would be...
Thaddeus.
Thaddeus.
Brother Thaddeus.
So Brother Thaddeus is right there. He's kind of in the middle of a huge scrum. But he only gets 1 action anyway.
Okay, so he is going to move up and engage with Crooked Henry.
All right. So Brother Thaddeus is attacking Crooked Henry right here, who has 2 wounds. And even though Brother Thaddeus only had 1 action, you can move and attack with a single action. It is at a -1 on your attack, but a +1 on your damage if you're successful, because you've kind of run up. You have a head of steam going on. So as a religious type, Thaddeus is at a -1 for combat. He's not as good as a soldier. He gets a +1 for the sword, but also a -1 for running and attacking. So it's all told a...
-1.
-1. So he needs a 7+.
3.
Actually, Thaddeus would also get a +1 from the torch. We forgot about that. But it was still a miss. So that means that Crooked Henry gets an opportunity to attack back. His attack is 7+. But Thaddeus has a buckler. And Thaddeus has a holy symbol. So I think that makes it a 9+. 10, but he hits anyway. So roll on the monster damage chart.
3.
3. So 3 is no damage. It's just a scratch. Bounces off the buckler. So Brother Thaddeus swung at Crooked Henry and missed. Crooked Henry hit, but didn't do any damage.
So that is the end of turn 3.
So that's the end of turn 3. We go into turn 4.
We got some damage on him, but
no casualties
no casualties so far.
So we reload the Mystic Bag of Fate and see what happens in turn 4. And the first chip is...
Hunter.
Brother Thaddeus right there is going to roll for his actions to see how many he gets.
2+.
2+. 10 and a 2, so he gets 2 actions. Thaddeus is currently fighting Crooked Henry.
So he's going to concentrate.
He can use 1 action to concentrate, which will give him a +2. So +2 for concentrating, +1 for the torch.
All right. Yeah, he got him. Roll on the wound chart.
A 6. 1 wound. So that is the end of Crooked Henry. He is dispatched. So that'll put 20 silver shillings in the monster hunter's pockets. Which is good because they were very poor and they were getting ready to sleep in a ditch if they didn't have any money. So Brother Thaddeus, dispatched the wicked Crooked Henry. Wicked and crooked. Crooked and wicked. And the hunters activate once again. So you're thinking Otto?
Otto, yes.
So Otto's right here. He's going to need to reload after he checks for his activations.
Or he can use it as a club.
Or he can try to club that imp. So roll to see.
3+. 1.
He gets 1 action for Otto.
So I think he's going to have to use it as a club.
So he's going to club that imp. So Otto gets a +1 because he's a soldier. He gets a -1 because he's using an improvised club. He gets a +1 because the imp is in torchlight. And he gets another +1 because Brother Thaddeus is accidentally in base-to-base with that imp. So that's a +2. The imp has a defense of 5+, so I think you need a 3+.
3+. Come on. 5. So
5.
hits.
Otto hits the imp.
And 5
does enough to kill it because it only has 1 hit point. So that imp is gone. No bounty for an imp, but at least he's out of the picture, so he won't be quite so impish. Hunters.
Oh my.
Hunters activate once again. Then you're going to get 2 rounds of witch activations.
Yes, that is unfortunate.
So Conrad and Sven are activating. Conrad is within 4 inches of Otto, right? Roll for some actions. So that's a 3 and a 5 with the torchlight. That's 2 actions. So Conrad reloads. He moves up. And that's his activation. So Conrad and Brother Thaddeus and Otto are all here in this clump. And Sven is way back here. Let's see if he can
Come
activate.
on, Sven. 5+.
1 action for Sven.
Conrad gave him a little bit of liquid courage.
A little schnapps. So you want Sven to shoot way over here at Frau Helga, and he's within range.
He's at -2 because of the shadow.
-2 because of the shadow.
Her defense is 6+, so 8+.
All right, shooting at Helga right here.
No.
2. Sven misses. Whoosh.
At least he got in the game.
He did something.
Yeah.
Okay, now the witches get to activate. So I guess we can start with Cersei right here. So she's within 6 inches of a whole bunch of hunters. 4.
Is charm.
Charm. She's going to try to charm Thaddeus.
Yep. So he needs an 8+. 5. He's charmed.
He succumbed to her charms, so he's a little bedazzled right now.
Okay.
Then, let's see, Crooked Henry is dead, so we have Cersei way over here.
All she's been doing lately is summoning imps. We'll see if she'll try something else this time. 9 is intimidate.
Yeah, she would try to intimidate any hunters within 6, but there aren't any. And finally, there's another witch token. That's the final token in the bag, so the witches get to go again. So Cersei's right here.
Okay. 2. Flee.
Flee. She turns into a wolf and takes off. She runs. And she uses a second movement to reach the shadows by the haystack. Now there's Frau Helga way over here.
1.
Flee. All right, well, Helga then is going to turn into a wolf, take off. So actually the edge of the board would be right about there.
And
So
then
she's
she goes
almost-
back to here because she has to go to shadow.
Right. So she runs way over there.
Helga, Helga.
She summoned imps and she ran.
That's all she did.
Going into turn 5. Thaddeus is charmed. Otto needs to reload. And the witches are in wolf form on the edge of the board. So I don't know how many more we're going to get here. The witches activate first. So Cersei's right here. 1, hide. So she stays hidden. And Helga is over there. 6.
Summon imp. So turns back into Helga.
Summon imp. 5. Doesn't do it.
Okay, next. What does the Bag of Fate have in store for us?
The fickle bag of fate. Hunters. So you're thinking Conrad and Sven?
Yep.
All right.
So, Conrad, 3+.
1 action for Conrad. For the noble Conrad, a 1 and a 9.
So Conrad is going to move up, I think.
Okay.
So he can get into range if they're still around.
So Conrad uses his 1 action, otherwise he could shoot over there at Helga.
Sven is going to attempt to shoot Helga if he gets any actions.
Right. That'll be way over there. She's in shadow, but let's see how many actions he gets.
2.
2 actions for Sven, finally. So he could actually shoot twice if he
He's
wanted
going
to.
to shoot twice. He's at -2 because he's shooting into shadow.
All right.
Nope.
5 is a miss.
1 is a miss.
1 is a miss. So the one thing we needed to do, we forgot to do, is at the beginning of turn 5, we roll a die to see when the storm breaks.
So we're at 5.
5. Once the total hits 10, then the game is over. And let's see who activates next.
Hunters.
The hunters. So Otto right here needs to roll to see how many actions he gets.
So 3+.
A 1 and a 3. So just 1.
So Otto is going to go up and give Thaddeus a slap.
He slaps Thaddeus. He's been waiting to do that a long time.
He has.
So he gives Thaddeus a mighty slap and basically wakes him up out of his stupor, out of his charm. Does he slap him or does he club him with his pistol butt?
He kicks him in the shin.
Poor Thaddeus. Takes so much abuse.
Witches.
Witches. Witches need stitches. So Circe right here is within 6 inches of Conrad right over there. Let's see what happens. 6.
Charm.
She's going to attempt to charm Conrad. So he needs to roll his resolve at -4.
8.
8. He gets it. So he's not charmed. He resists her charms.
Okay.
And then way over here we have Helga.
Helga's within 6 now.
She's within 6 as well. 5.
Charm.
She's going to attempt to charm Conrad.
Yep.
So he needs to roll his resolve at -4.
8 plus. No.
And does not. So now he's kind of stupefied. Conrad's been charmed. And that's the end of the witches. And the hunters activate their final time, and that would be Thaddeus. So what is Brother Thaddeus going to do?
He's going to roll and hopefully get 2 10s.
2 10s, so he can get 3 actions.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. But we'll take 2 actions.
2 actions for Brother Thaddeus.
He's going to run up and attack Circe.
Okay, he uses 2 moves to run up and gets in there and swings. Swing batter. So Brother Thaddeus is attacking with a -3 because he ran up and attacked, and his adversary is in shadow.
Okay. 9 hits him.
Hits.
Okay, yes. Good job, Thaddeus.
That's what he needed.
7 is 1 damage.
1 damage, so Circe is down. She's got 2 wounds, down to 1 left.
Okay, that is the end of turn 5.
That's the end of turn 5. Reload the Bag of Fate. So rolling to see when the storm breaks. That's a 7, so that puts us at 12. So this is the last turn. Whatever happens, happens. Let's see who activates. The witches. So Circe in wolf form is going to get a +1 because she's attacking from shadow. But fortunately, Brother Thaddeus has a buckler and a holy relic, a holy item he's wearing. So that gives her a -2 on her attacks. So overall, she's attacking with a -1.
So it'll be 6 plus.
8, she hits.
And then roll for damage.
Roll for damage on Brother Thaddeus. 1, nothing.
Nothing. Circe was just gnawing on the buckler.
Lucky him. Because if you take a wound, you have to roll at the end of the game to see how serious it is and whether it's like debilitating. Okay, Frau Helga. Frau Helga is within 6 of Conrad von Kleist. She gets a 2.
Flee.
So she takes off. So Helga right here turns into a wolf and runs off the table. So 1 witch escaped. So the hunters.
Otto is activating. So 3 plus. So a 4 and a 5 means 2 actions.
2 actions for Otto.
So Otto is going to run up and hit Circe with the pistol.
So Otto runs up and he pistol whips the wolf. Okay, let's add this up. So Otto normally gets a +1 because he's a soldier, -1 for using an improvised club, -1 because he ran up and attacked, +1 because of the torch, and +1 because Thaddeus is there.
So +1.
+1, total +1.
So 6.
So he hits the wolf, rolls on the chart, gets a 7, and that's enough to kill Circe. So that wolf is dead. So I guess that's the end of the game because all the witches have been dispatched or have run off, and none of the innocents, if any, were harassed in their hovel. And none of the witch hunters were injured, though there was some slapping. So Sven, for example, runs up and slaps Conrad to wake him up, though Thaddeus did get some wolf bites on his buckler. He did get hit a couple times from various entities, but didn't suffer any wounds, so that's good.
He'll have to buff out his buckler.
So the monster hunters did manage to dispatch Circe and Crooked Henry. Unfortunately, though, Helga is running free in wolf form. She was not dispatched, and so she may be able to reconstitute the coven. So maybe we'll see Helga again in a future adventure. So she's running free. And the monster hunters will also probably get some experience. We're going to calculate that via the tables off camera, and we'll let you know how that went in the next video. All right, folks, that's our first playthrough of Devilry Afoot, the folk horror monster hunting game. I hope we did it justice and didn't make too many mistakes, but you know how it goes. Let us know what you thought about this game in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your feedback, and stay tuned for more spooky adventures in this same campaign leading up to Halloween. Thanks very much for stopping by today. We're really glad you're here. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.